had never expected the morning to go the way it did. Honestly, it started just like any other day. I was in the kitchen, hair tied in a lazy bun, wearing that oversized t-shirt that had a faded college logo on the front. The coffee machine was doing its thing, making that soft humming noise as it brewed by morning fuel. The sunlight coming through the blinds painted warm stripes across the counter. Everything was normal, peaceful, until Evan walked in. Evan wasn't supposed to be there. My best friend's brother had just flown in the night before. He was crashing in my guest room temporarily, just for a few days, she had said. He had gotten a job in the city and needed somewhere to land until he found his own apartment. I'd met him once or twice before, always polite, charming, and honestly a little too attractive for his own good. I remembered thinking that even back then. But I was older. I had a whole career, routines, and a pretty strict idea of what I was and wasn't willing to allow in my life anymore. But when Evan stepped into the kitchen that morning, shirtless, towel over his shoulder, hair wet from a recent shower, something in the air shifted. He froze when he saw me. I froze too. His eyes darted to my legs. I hadn't realized how high my t-shirt had ridden up until that moment. I tugged at the hem, flustered. He smirked slightly, not in a disrespectful way, but he knew what he was doing, and he knew I saw it. "Morning," he said, his voice deeper than I remembered. "Good morning," I replied, looking away, suddenly very interested in stirring my coffee. There was silence for a beat. I could feel his eyes on me. Then he walked over, not hurriedly, just casually enough to seem natural, but intentional enough to be felt. He stood beside me at the counter, reaching for a mug from the shelf above. When he did, his arm brushed against mine. I felt it all the way down to my fingertips. "You always get up this early?" he asked, pouring himself a cup. "I usually do," I said, glancing up at him. His eyes were such a deep brown they almost looked black. He was close now, too. Too close for someone who is technically a guest. But I didn't move. I should have, but I didn't. He took a sip of his coffee and looked at me over the rim of the mug. Then something strange happened. Something I couldn't explain. I felt a pull. A very real, very physical pull toward him. Not just attraction, something more complicated. Dangerous, maybe. "You've got something," he said, gesturing to my face. "Where?" I asked. He reached out and brushed the corner of my mouth with his thumb, his fingers grazing my cheek. His touch was warm. I should have stepped back, made a joke, diffused the moment. Instead, I stood there, frozen in place as the atmosphere thickened between us. And then, so quickly I didn't see it coming, his hand slid behind my neck. Not rough, not hard, but firm. His fingers tangled into the loose strands of my bun, gripping the base of my hair. I gasped, not from pain, but from the sudden intimacy of it. I looked into his eyes, searching for some explanation, some sign that this was a joke, but it wasn't. He was serious. And so was I. "Evan," I whispered, not knowing what else to say. He leaned closer. "You don't want me to stop." I should have said yes. I should have told him this was wrong, that I was older, that this was my house, that he was off limits. But instead, I just looked at him, my breath shallow, my heart pounding in my ears. Then, as if he could hear my silence louder than words, he kissed me. It wasn't soft. It wasn't slow. It was immediate, urgent, and deliberate. The kind of kiss that forces your hands to clutch at countertops and your knees to wobble under the weight of unspoken tension finally breaking loose. His grip in my hair tightened, tilting my head just enough to deepen the kiss. My hands found their way to his chest, then to his shoulders. His skin was warm, slightly damp from the shower, and so real it made my stomach clench. I didn't stop him. The kiss ended, but he didn't move away. His forehead rested against mine. We both stood there, breathing heavily, as if the moment itself had drained us. "I didn't plan that," he said softly. "Neither did I," I said back, barely able to speak. We stood in silence, letting the weight of what had just happened settle. He stepped back slightly, rubbing the back of his neck. I straightened up, brushing my hair behind my ear, avoiding his gaze for a moment. "Maybe we should pretend that didn't happen," I said, trying to sound casual. "Do you want to pretend?" he asked. That was the real question. And the truth is I didn't know. My brain was screaming yes, but my body, my heart, they weren't so sure. The next few hours were weird. He went out to meet someone from work, and I tried to go about my day. I folded laundry, I watered plants, I scrolled through my phone, but everything felt strange. The couch looked different because I remembered where his hand had rested earlier. The mirror in the hallway caught my eye, and all I could see was the version of me that he had touched. Something had changed. When he came back that afternoon, it was quiet between us, but not cold, just loaded. Every glance, every movement held a new kind of energy. We didn't talk about the kiss. We didn't need to. It lived in the air between us, electric and undeniable. That night, I went to bed early, or at least I tried to, but I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, thoughts racing, heart fluttering like it was 17 again. Around midnight, I heard a soft knock on my bedroom door. I didn't move. Then the door cracked open slowly. "Are you awake?" Evan whispered. I swallowed hard. "Yeah." He stepped inside, shirtless again, but wearing sweatpants this time. His silhouette against the dim hallway light made my breath catch. I couldn't sleep. Me neither. He walked over to the side of my bed. I know this isn't normal, but it doesn't feel wrong. Not to me. He reached out and brushed a loose strand of hair from my face, just like that morning. Then his fingers gently slid into my hair again, and my breath hitched. I closed my eyes, leaning into the touch. "I'm not asking for anything you're not ready for," he said quietly, "but I want to be honest. I can't pretend I don't feel this." I opened my eyes. Neither can I. He sat on the edge of my bed, and for a moment we just looked at each other. The clock ticked softly in the background. Then he leaned down, and his lips met mine again. Slower, this time deeper. His hand found my hair again, gently tugging just enough to make me tremble. We didn't cross every line that night, but we didn't stay behind the old ones either. It was emotional, vulnerable, unspoken truths wrapped in whispered breaths and lingering touches. The next morning, I woke up alone, but there was a note on the nightstand. "Didn't want to wake you. I'll bring coffee. Same time. E." I smiled. It wasn't just the kiss. It wasn't just the tension. It was the way he saw me. Not as someone older or someone out of reach, but someone worth leaning into, worth staying up for, worth waking up early just to share coffee with again. That week turned into a few more. Eventually, Evan found an apartment. He moved out, but not far. We didn't rush anything. We let it grow slowly. But that morning, the one that started with a mug of coffee and ended with a kiss that shook my whole world, that was the beginning of something.